folks, and welcome to the channel, or welcome back. And I know some of you would like to see more about gardening and tractors and working on the old house and restoring that building and old Rusty, of course. And believe me, I would love to do it as well, and those videos are certainly coming. But I have a full-time job, and every so often I got to do certain things that I need to do, and rebuilding the race cars is one of the things that I need to do in the wintertime, because I want to have some fun in the summer as well. So in this video we're going to wrap up the RF-85, and more specifically on the carburetor, and we're going to use an AFR gauge to adjust the carburetor. What you see here are all the parts that came off the carburetor that was fitted actually on the RF-85. And I got another carburetor, a DGAS. What was fitted on the RF-85 was a DGAV. And there's a slight difference between the two. And let me show you what the difference is. So this is the original carburetor that was on the RF-85. And if you look on that one, you can see it's in a pretty dirty state overall. So it was more than time that we actually took it apart, and in fact I even wanted to replace it. And why did I replace it? Well, if you look carefully on the side here, you'll see what the type is, and you can see that it says it's a 3235 DGAV, or a DGAV, and that means that it's a variable carburetor. And variable in this context means that you have two barrels, a prime barrel and a secondary barrel, and the secondary barrel is only going to open up whenever you depress the gas throttle for 2/3. So in essence you're running on one barrel all the time, unless you really depress the throttle, and then the second one will come to the rescue. However, the interesting part on this DGAV, which is a variable one, is that we have two cams here. And it means that with those two cams, that both barrels, both butterflies, will open up at the same time. So we have a DGAV, but actually it's modified to a DGAS, which is a synchronous carburetor, which means that both barrels are acting at the same time. And this is what I have fitted on the race car right now, and you'll see it in a few seconds. So this is kind of a hybrid. I would never do it like this. This is pretty weird, but let me show you what I mean with this. So if we open up the throttle, see, both cams are working, and if you were to look on the butterflies, you will see that both of them will open up at the same time. Now, don't ask me why they have done this. To me it doesn't make sense, but maybe they had a good reason, and if you know why, please put it in the comments, because I like to know. The good thing about it is that both carburetor types have a lot of common parts. So you have like the bleeding valve, we've got the emulsion tubes, and we have the main fuel jets, we have the air correction jets, we have the bleed pin basically, which is restricting how much fuel can bleed back into the main fuel chamber from the acceleration pump. Then we have the adjustment for idle. You know, we got lots of parts here. The top cover is almost exactly the same. So here we have the cover, and you can see we have the float like on any other carburetor basically. This is the same cover as you will find on the DGAS and the DGAV, so you can reuse it. Pay attention that the openings are the same, but most of the time they are more than large enough to be accommodated. So this part, let's put it aside because I'm not going to need it. I'm going to rebuild it because it's a good spare part. So this right here is the part of the acceleration pump, and these are three membranes that can be fitted in the acceleration pump. They are a little bit different one from the other, and this is the spring, but as you can see, this rubber is really tough. It's you know, it's gone. These are bad, and this is one that was fitted inside this DGAV. The same thing for that one. It's really tough, so it's kind of hardened over all those years, so no good. And this one is a bit more flexible, so this one could still be used. But it's always good to put a new one up, and that's what I basically have done. So as I stated, I have replaced my DGAV with a proper DGAS. And if you buy a new DGAS, then it will come with an automatic choke system. And I don't need a choke system on my race car, so I have it removed. So you will have to remove all these parts and then blank off that little vacuum hole, and then you're ready to go. So this is our DGAS. It's a 3838 barrel. It's a Weber, but it's not an Italian one. It's built in Spain. So I have it already hooked up. I have it sized both for the emulsion tubes, the air correction jet, the main fuel jets, all that. If you want to know on how to jet your carburetor, then have a look on my channel. I got lots of videos on how to tune carburetors. So if you look over here, you can see that it's actually a DGAS and that both butterflies will open up at the same time. We've got all the new adjustment screws. This is the idle screw. We have one on the left and on the right, and so on. So now we want to make sure that this carburetor is properly adjusted. On my exhaust, I have some time ago welded on a bung. And I can remove this bolt, and that allows me now to inject a wideband oxygen sensor. And here it is, a wideband oxygen sensor like you have on all modern cars, and it's going to measure the air-fuel ratio in your exhaust. And that's what I'm going to use to adjust my idle to about 14.3. So 14.3 parts of air, 1 part of fuel. Now obviously I cannot adjust the carburetor for its normal running condition or its acceleration. This is something we need to do on the track. And again, we can even fit this one using a data logger. Now, of course, only with a wideband oxygen sensor, you cannot do a lot. So I also got a gauge with it. And this gauge that you see right here is the one that you typically would mount in your car, but I mounted on a aluminum panel so I can use it on all my different race cars. And in the back, we have the actual controller, as you can see, and all the connectors. Nothing really special. So let me turn that on, hook it up to the oxygen sensor, and then we should be good to go. I know there are many different ways to adjust your carburetor, but this is a very handy approach. All right, all I need to do now is hook up the cable and we're all set. By the way, this cable is going to my little controller. And that's it. I'm going to power on the AFR. Now, right now, it's of course not measuring anything. It is just calibrating itself. And then you'll see it's going to go back to very lean. There we go. Of course, because the engine isn't really running. So let me start up the engine and then we'll see what happens with it. I'm going to let the engine run on idle, and then we're going to adjust the idle screws to have the right AFR. All right, let's see if we can crank it up. I'm going to give it a little bit of throttle. And as you can see, we are running fairly lean, around 19, which is way too lean. I've just been adjusting the idle mixture, and you can see right now that we are running a bit more rich now, around 14.67. It varies a bit, so I still need to adjust it. So right now it's around 14.3, I guess. So this is where I want to have it. And this is a little bit of fiddling. And you want both barrels, right, more or less the same. So I'm going to keep it here. So let's see how well the engine is picking up. So as you have seen, this is not very hard, and it's very handy to have an AFR meter. You can adjust your carburetors for running on idle, but also for the progression. And you can use it as well on the track while you're adjusting for acceleration and actually for continuous cruising. Of course, you would have to build it into your car, have it with you in the cockpit to look at it. So I'm going to take this with me on a test day, but that's going to be another couple of weeks. But for now, I'm quite happy with the result. It runs very smooth, and I'm very pleased with my DGAS carburetor, which is a 3838.
So now the real question is, should you change your DGAV for a DGAS? Well, in my specific case, I was having a DGAV, which was modified to perform as a DGAS. And then you have two different barrel sizes. So that to me did not make a lot of sense at all. So that is why I decided to swap out that carburetor, because it had some other issues as well. It was pretty dirty, and move towards a DGAS. To be honest, I've been driving DGAS carburetors before, and they tend to have a much better pickup. And also, they perform almost as good as a single DCOE 45 Weber carburetor onto the same Pinto engine. So on that basis, I made a very quick decision to go for that DGAS instead of a DGAV. Now, there are videos on YouTube, and I've seen a couple of them, where one guy is having both carburetors together with a Weber DCOE on a dyno, and he tested it out, and it turned out to be that the DGAS is a very good carburetor. It is not coming far behind the DCOE 45. In fact, we only lose about 4 horsepower. So on a normal Pinto engine without any modifications at all, you can run up to about 140 horsepower just with a single DGAS carburetor. With a DGAV, it's a little bit less, but of course, once you go full wide open, it gets pretty close. So really, it's all up to you what you can do and what you may do, because it all depends a bit where you race and how you race. But the main thing is, whatever you do with carburetors, always try to size them properly. Get the proper air correction jet, get the proper main jets, making sure that the acceleration pump is working the membrane, that it's not stiff, because quite often that membrane is becoming stiff. And if you want to test it, just look inside the carburetor, and you should see it, as we call it, pissing inside whenever you accelerate.
Thank you for viewing, and I'll see you in my next video, which is not about race cars, but will be something else.